start recording. Okay, so this is going to record my screen and me, and then, like I said, that will be available to you probably tomorrow, because I might have to do a little bit of editing to it before I can throw it up on YouTube. So like I said, today we're primarily going to go through the syllabus. I'm going to show you the 3-4 major pieces of software that I expect you to be able to use eventually as we go down the semester. And I will show you how you will submit your assignments. How many have taken a class from Brian Foster? Okay, so most of you have an ArtStation at this point then,
Does
right?
taking one count?
Taking one now?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so you guys are familiar with ArtStation a little bit, maybe. ArtStation's great. It's a gathering of artists, and there's lots of jobs posted there. And we have a young lady who actually found a Blizzard internship on her own, applied for it, got it.
I was in that class.
Blizzard paid for her to go out there. They paid for her room and board, they paid for her food, and they paid her like $11 an hour. She worked all summer long. She came back, she told me she's all giddy, she's very happy. She has a job waiting for her at Blizzard when she graduates. Right? It can happen.
Out of curiosity, what was the artwork?
Just different stuff she had done for us. So different game levels she designed for Brian, different animations that she had made for 3D1 for me, things like that. So, and once you get on the ArtStation, you can see who we follow, who I follow, who Brian follows, and that's going to be your fellow students, okay, for the most part. And that's a great way to see what's been produced. That is one thing I think as an institution we don't do the best job at. You know, we say, hey, come learn game development. And people are like, oh, that's cool. But they don't see the finished product. We need to start showing more of this is what my kids do. That was another thing when I was at GDC. Lots of 5-year schools there. Lots of European schools there. Man, it's cheap to go to school in Europe. It really is. So much cheaper.
A lot of countries it's basically free now.
Basically, yes, absolutely. But I tell you what, I'll put you guys up against those 5-year kids any day. Okay, those of you that really want it. Those of you that study hard, those of you that come early and stay late and ask lots of questions. So I was very proud. I'm always very proud of what my students produce, and I was impressed by what the 5-year kids were able to produce. But it wasn't that much better than what you guys produce after 2 years. Okay. And there's Avery. Come on in.
Hey!
Come on in. You can sit right there.
There was construction, I swear.
It's quite all right, Avery. So I get to know you pretty well, actually, in the short time that I have you. But you will see me a lot your first couple semesters, and then you won't see me for a while, and then you'll come back and you'll take some more classes from me. So here we go. All right, when you first log on to Canvas, of course, the first thing you see on the home page will be the welcome message. This is pretty standard across all of your classes. Mine is customized for my class. Hello and welcome to 3D Animation 1. My name is John Simpson. In this course, we are going to explore and learn how to use Autodesk 3ds Max. We will create, texture, light, render, and animate 3D models and different environments. That's the purpose of what we're doing here. We're creating environments for you to put stuff into. Same thing that you do in Brian Foster's class. He just does it in Unity. As far as contact information, it's very important that you talk to me, that you communicate with me. So my office is right down here. It's about 3 doors down. It's got the really cool picture of the guy with the earring and the ponytail in the window. That's me. Okay, that was me like 20 years ago, but still me. And if I have office hours, okay, so they're not listed here, but they are listed next to my door. It says office hours. You feel free to knock on my door if you have a problem. You feel free to knock on my door if you don't understand the assignment. You feel free to knock on my door if you just want to say hello. Now, there will be times when I'm like, I have to get back to work, guys, you know, so I can't sit here and shoot the shit. But it's good to see you. But I am here for you every day except Friday. I take Fridays off. I don't have any classes. I like to camp, and I like to get out there early. That way I can get a good spot, and especially in the fall. If you do need to contact me from home, you can contact me using the Canvas message box. Okay, so click on the inbox, send that to me. Chances are I'm going to have my phone on me, and my phone's going to go ding, you have a Canvas message. And I will probably respond to you within 20 minutes, tops. If you absolutely need to, I do have a Butler email address, but I wouldn't recommend using it. Primarily because I get a lot of institutional emails, and things tend to get buried. And if I don't see you on the first page or the second page, it may be a day or two before I get back to you. But if you hit me up through Canvas, and I check Canvas multiple times a day, even if I don't have my phone on. If I'm in my office, Canvas is open. If it's the weekend, sometimes I open Canvas for a minute or two, just kind of see what's going on. Much better to contact me that way. This course begins today, which is 8/21, and will end on 12/11. That is less than 4 months. That's like 3 months and 3 weeks is how long we have together. That's not very long. I'm going to pack it as full as I possibly can for you. I'm going to try to show you as much as you need to know. All right. As far as required materials, there are a couple things that you do need to have. Number one would be the current version of 3ds Max. And the nice thing about Canvas is I can update stuff on the fly. And I have the wrong date on here. I have Canvas or Autodesk 3ds Max 2019. The most recent version is 2020. Why do I need to enter a date? 1 second. I don't have any idea why I need a date. That is so weird. Okay. Say again?
Do we get a free copy for home?
You absolutely do. That's the, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you exactly how to get your copy today. Now you have access to 2020 in the labs here. And as far as that goes, if you get it home and your machine just is like, there's no way I'm running this program. And that's 100% possible. I see kids try to run it on laptops and it's like, I don't recommend running this on a laptop. Come talk to us. We'll get you into a lab somewhere. Okay, even if there's no open labs. If you knock on my door and there's no class, I'll open the door for you. I'll let you in. Okay. But generally we have open lab hours quite a bit, and speaking of which, we are probably looking for student workers. So if you don't have a job and you don't mind making minimum wage, you get paid to do your homework. You have to sit in the lab, you have to keep people from tearing stuff up, and that's about it. But it only does pay minimum wage. It's not a great job, it's a student job. Okay, so yeah, back to where I was. Okay, so you want to get 2020. Now currently I have 2019 on this machine, but all of these have 2020 installed on them, and I will get this taken care of sometime this week. You'll need some sort of portable media. I have flash drives. Primarily I have a 1 terabyte Toshiba drive that I use. Do not work off your portable media. Those of you who've had me in class before will attest to this. It's just a bad idea. Copy stuff to the desktop, work on it. When you're done with it, copy it back over to your portable media. All it takes is somebody to walk by and thump your flash drive and your file is corrupted. And I got a story about that too, but I don't want to go into it. You will need some sort of online cloud storage. Now through your Microsoft that we give you, you get access to OneDrive, so you could use that. I'm not a huge fan of cloud storage because it's basically somebody else's computer. So you could do that yourself at home. You know, just back your stuff up, back it up, back it up, back it up. Have it in 3 or 4 different places. You will need access to the Adobe Creative Suite. One of the skills that's outside the normal range of 3D modeling that you're going to learn in this class is some very, very basic video editing skills. We'll use Premiere. Again, you'll have access to that in our labs. How many have an Adobe account? Okay, the way this works is they've changed a few things, but we have what is called a site license. And that means we can install it on just about anywhere we want on this campus. For you guys to access that, you must have an Adobe account. Now, you don't have to buy anything from Adobe, but you have to have an account with them so that you can sign into the software. when it comes down. So if you don't have it, we can work on getting you one. Okay, now I did test this and it works fine. I've got one that I pay for, I've got one that the school gives me, and then I got one that I created today that has nothing tied to it, but I'm still able to open, Premiere, animate, those types of programs that we're gonna have here. So, and again, if you don't have it at home, it's not a big deal. You just need to make the commitment to come down here and take advantage of these labs. These are fairly state-of-the-art labs. I mean, the computers in front of you are brand new last semester. Now, we are having some hardware failures with them already, but they were brand new last semester. The computers across the hall, they're tip-top too. I love the T1000s, you know, because Terminator. But I have 2 of those in my office, they're great. And then we have the Mac Lab, which we're not gonna talk about that. And then finally, I would like you to have access to Open Broadcaster or an equivalent software. Now, Open Broadcaster is free, and what it is basically is screen capture software, okay? And I'm gonna demo each and every one of these today. I'll show you where you go to get it. I'll show you basically how you need to configure it. It's pretty simple. Knowing a lot about, or knowing a little about a lot is an important skill. It's an important thing. You may not, I'm not master of OBS by any means. I'm definitely not master of Premiere. I mean, I can do some stuff, I can cut my video, I can speed it up, but that's about the extent of it. Don't ask me to do a rolling something, whatever. That's Sean Rhodes' field of expertise. But don't ask Sean to make you a 3D model. So everybody has their specialties. Everybody has what they're good at. All right. So that's our introduction. That's the homepage. Has to be in every one of our courses. So now we're going to look at the syllabus. I'm sure you guys are about as tired of hearing this as I am talking about the syllabus. So I'm going to make this as painless as possible. At the top, we just have some basic information. The CRN, which is the course number. When we meet every Wednesday, 4 to 7 p.m., right here in 5142. I will generally open the door about 5 minutes early. You guys are welcome to come in when I unlock the door. Again, my contact information, lots of different places, but the best way is through inbox or just knock on my door. Okay. And emergency only, I do list my office number. They tell me I have to answer my phone if I'm in there, and so I do. I'm not a big one to talk on the phone because I like to make eye contact with people. I like looking at people. I'm not great on picking up on social cues, and it's even worse when I can't see the person. You know, if I'm talking on the phone, I never know when it's my turn to talk. So I always try to do things as much face-to-face as possible. And again, that brings me back to OBS. If you have a problem on your computer, instead of sending me a paragraph and a half trying to explain what the problem is, you can record what the problem is and send me that video. Go, why is it doing this? Oh, okay, this is why. So much easier. I'm going to try this semester, because you guys will be recording yourselves and that's what you'll be submitting. And I'm going to try to record myself watching your videos, and that's how I'm going to grade your assignments. So when you do something really great, I can be like, man, that was fantastic. Or when it's not too great, I can be like, man, why'd you do that? So hopefully it opens up a nice dialogue and we get to know each other pretty well. Back you go. Okay. So again, this is IN 158 3D Computer Animation 1. It is for 3 credit hours. That means that we meet 3 hours a week. You are required to be here X amount of hours by the state of Kansas. I don't know exactly what it is. I will generally talk for a good portion of the class, and then you will have about an hour or so towards the end that is yours. You can stay and work, or you can go home. Those that stay and work tend to do a lot better in the class, because you can sit there and play. You can talk to the person next to you. You can talk to me. You know, it's hard to talk to me when you're at home. Course relevance. I don't think we really need to talk about this, but 3D is the stuff, right? I mean, it's movies, it's games, it's VR, it's commercials, it's advertising, it's everywhere. It is everywhere. 50% of what you see on TV is not real. 90% of the Marvel movies does not exist anywhere except in a computer. 57% of all statistics are made up on the spot. Okay, so don't quote me on any of this.
I've heard that percentage is higher.
Yeah, it could be. Architectural visualizations, okay? Suppose you're wanting to sell somebody a $50,000 kitchen remodel. Well, between Max and Unity, you can build it, you can make it interactive, and you can have that person walk through their brand new kitchen. You know how fast they'll write you a check? Really, really fast. A good friend of mine used to teach humanities here. He taught ancient to Renaissance. And one of his big things was he really loved the terracotta gardens, okay? And I don't know if you guys know what that is or not, but that's over in China. One of the emperors, when he died, he had all these terracotta army built. And they're fantastic, they're phenomenal. They all have a very unique face. None of them have the same face. And there's thousands of them. Well, he's never been able to travel to China, so he's never actually seen them. But through VR, I put him in a virtual museum, and he was able to see these things in front of him. Okay? Everybody knows the statue of David, right? Very famous statue. That thing is ginormous. You see pictures of it in your humanities class, and you're like, that's not really that big. No, that thing's like 18 feet tall. It is huge. First time I saw that in VR, it just blew me away. My favorite thing we ever did, though. And if you do well in our classes, we have lots of VR systems here, guys. And we have lots of stuff that you can do in the VR systems. One of the coolest things I ever did, we all play Half-Life. Anybody play Half-Life? Okay.
Oh.
Those little robots that go, are you there? Those things are ginormous. They're huge. They are really, really big in VR and scary. They're not very scary when they're on my 21-inch monitor, but they're terrifying when they come through the wall at you in VR. I about fell over. It was great. So that's why this is relevant. Okay, you know, Facebook bought Oculus a while back, a long time ago. Actually, it's been quite a while now. I'm surprised that we don't have more 3D shopping. Okay, because what is Facebook, right? If not like the ultimate marketplace where everything can be bought and sold. I'm surprised that we don't have more. Look, I can touch this thing. I can hold it in my hand. I can see it before I purchase it. It's coming. Your kids will love it. All right. Now I got to update that too. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, we'll come back to that one. That one's not quite as easy to update. All right, the PACT statement, this is kind of important. This is one of our core values here at Butler. PACT stands for personal development skills. All right, so you're developing as a person, you're developing as a developer, you're developing as an artist, you're learning new stuff, you're learning new skills. Analytical thinking skills. Nobody's gonna hand this to you. I won't hand it to you, Mr. Foster won't hand it to you, Daryl Runyon won't hand it to you. We will, however, push you in the right direction to find the answer yourself. Okay? We will take you to the water. It's up to you to drink. Communication skills. Man, if animation isn't about communicating, I don't know what it's for, right? Okay, whether you're communicating to make people laugh or you're communicating to teach people how to do something. Animation is worth 1,000,000 words. And then finally, technological skills. A lot of our classes focus on push this button, this thing will happen. And that's how you learn software. You may not see yourself as a designer at this point. You may not see yourself as a graphic designer or anything like that. Focus now on learning how to make the software do things. Later on, and as you're learning, you can learn to be a designer. You can learn to understand that you don't put purple text on a black background. Okay, this is not MySpace. Please don't do that. Please don't use red text either. They've done studies. Red makes people nervous. Red, makes people mad. All right. Computer use expectations. Okay, we expect you to know how to use a computer. Okay. If you don't know how to do something that I talk about up here, do not be hesitant. Just say, hey, I have no idea what a zip file is. I have no idea, what you mean by unzip this file. Everybody starts somewhere. Okay, so next time you're in McDonald's and that kid messes up your order, just remember that. Right? When he's trying to punch it in and he can't quite figure it out, maybe it's his first day. Okay, so always be nice, especially to people that deal with your food. I was a cook for many years before I became a 3D guru. And be nice to those people. But I expect you to be able to use a computer. But if you don't know how, just talk to me. Tell me. Let me know. So here is what we're going to learn throughout the semester. I'm not going to go over all of this. Most of your assignments are worth about 5% of your overall grade. There's a lot of assignments. We will have a midterm, and we will have a final project. Those are both worth a little bit more than the daily assignments or the weekly assignments. And that brings me to weekly presentations and note checks. Today is not a huge deal. I don't expect you to write down everything I say, but I do expect you to take notes. If you prefer to type your notes, that's fine. I find something just very appealing about writing things out. Okay, I don't like to write with a pen. I like to write with a pencil. But that makes it a lot like drawing. So I don't think about, I'm writing a bunch of stuff. No, I'm just drawing these fancy little characters that happen to be words. How many draw? Okay, not saying it's mandatory, but it will definitely make you a better 3D artist. How many sculpt? Play with Play-Doh? Yeah, see, everybody plays with Play-Doh, right? Yeah, Play-Doh's the best, man. Man, I've got a 3D or stop motion animation class, and one of our projects is we make Play-Doh characters. Okay?
And another project later, you use Play-Doh again.
We do. I've had students who went to Mindfire Academy when it was open. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mindfire or not, but it was a local. It was tied to one of the 4-year schools around here. I think Bethany. Yeah, it's tied to Bethany, and it was trying to compete with like the art institutes. Okay. A lot of my students, I had probably a dozen or so graduate from here and go to school there, and it's now defunct, unfortunately. But they were like, oh yeah, I can't believe I got to take a sculpting class. I got to take this life drawing class. I have to take this. I have to take that. It's like, absolutely, that's the art side of this, guys. Okay. Now we're a 2-year school, so we focus really heavily on the tech side of things. Push this button, this will happen. Push this button, this will happen. But you got to have those underlying skills as well. Okay, you got to be able to sketch. You have to be able to sculpt a little bit. You have to be able to visualize in your mind what the object looks like. And there's something amazing about touching stuff. You know, I always tell students, model what you have on your desk. If you have your phone, model your phone. If you have your key ring, model your key ring. Okay. My father-in-law bought me this. I think he thought it was a bottle opener. It's not a bottle opener. It's a brass knuckle. Model a pin, but touch the pin. Feel how it feels. Draw the pin. It'll make you a better 3D artist. I like to paint. I like to sketch. I draw. Really gotten into charcoal and pencil here lately.
I love charcoal.
It's messy, but I like it. Yeah. But this is what we're going to learn. So today, this is the welcome. Again, I'm going to cover a lot of different things over the course of the next couple of hours. Next week, we dive right into Max, and we start really learning what this program is. Week after that, we're going to learn some really cool modeling techniques called segment or modifiers. After that will be editable poly objects. And again, these words don't mean anything to you at this point. You're like, what is he saying? That's okay. We're going to learn these words. We're going to learn the terminology. That's part of it as well. I will very seldom ask you at any time, though, what's this button called? You know why? Because you can hover over the button and it'll tell you what it's called. That's amazing. I love that. That's standard on almost all software now. We'll look at some architectural stuff. We're going to make a chess set. Your chess set can look like anything you want it to be. That's one of the things about my classes. I give you an insane amount of freedom on what you want to make. For some students, that's not a good thing. So if you get hung up on, I don't know what to do, come talk to me. Yes?
Sorry,
Why wouldn't you suggest using a laptop for all the work?
Power,
Oh,
power, and you really need a 3-button mouse. You absolutely have to have a 3-button mouse. And that's, as we get into the program, you'll see, okay? I've seen students who have become adept at using their little pad. I have no idea how they do it. It's like, oh, that would just, I would lose my mind. But mostly it's power. Bang for your buck, desktop all the way. Okay, you pay for that portability. Not to say that you can't run it by any means. I mean, there are some really powerful laptops out there. Okay.
What do you think would be the recommended, or like even the minimum?
On their website, they have recommended specs, and it changes all the time. Okay, now, put this in perspective though, my machine is an AMD 8350, something like that, okay? I built it in 2012. It still runs max fine. It doesn't like Houdini. It kind of just jokes and goes, no, no, but it runs max relatively well. Now, there are certain things that I do we won't get into in this class per se, but we will in part 2, such as liquids, and the physics engine and some of that kind of stuff, and it slows down then. But the specs are going up all the time. The biggest thing, the 3 big are obviously CPU, get the fastest CPU you can with the most cores, shove as much RAM in that thing as you possibly can, and get the biggest video card you can afford. Yeah, those are your 3 big ones. But again, focus less on that and more on if you don't have that, come down here because we have it. You know, our machines are great. I'm very happy with the way Butler handles that side of things. They do a really good job of keeping us. We're not quite bleeding edge, but we're still on the knife. So, but as far as actual specs, I couldn't quote you anything. So. It changes all the time. And the only time I pay attention to like new technology is when I have the money to upgrade. That's the only time I care. When I was younger, that was a different story, you know. But I had money to burn back then. So, but then we'll get into animating a bouncing ball, advanced modeling, advanced lighting, and then you get to work on your portfolio and final project forming. Now again, each one of those is worth about 5%. So if you miss an assignment, don't sweat it. Okay, it's not going to kill you. Just double down and do your best to get the next one in. Okay. The number one thing that students do is they get behind and they say, I'm going to get caught up, I'm going to get caught up, and then they don't. Stay caught up. Have a plan. I don't know if anybody told you when you enrolled or not, but for a 3-hour class, you should plan on having 3 hours worth of homework every week. I know that sounds kind of crazy. How many have jobs? I think I asked this already. Cool. Most of you have a job. It's hard. It's hard. You're going to deprive yourself of sleep. Number one thing you can do, shut down your Steam account for the next 3.5 months. Okay? It's hard, I know it. I know it. Me and my 190-something games on Steam, okay, which I play like three of them. That's about it. But at the beginning of semester, I generally just shut it down and I don't turn it back on until we get a little farther down. Because it's easy to go, oh, I don't want to do my 3DS Max homework. I want to play Left 4 Dead or 7 Days to Die or Minecraft or whatever it is you play. Okay, so here's our schedule, and I will do my absolute best to hold us to this as much as possible. Every week we will introduce a new concept, and that will hopefully build on what we learned the week before. On Wednesday, we will have Thanksgiving break, 11/27. So the end of November, we have Thanksgiving break. Every semester, you get a week off. So I think it's around October 15th, you'll have Monday and Tuesday off. End of November, you get Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. Okay, so that's the way that works. You will have, according to our schedule here, 1, 2, 3, 4 class periods. So that's 12 hours of my time to work on your final project. That sounds like a lot of time, but it's not. Okay. Institutional policies, it's very important that you come to class. We are not allowed to grade on attendance, but I have put a couple things into place, which I'll talk about here shortly, that will hopefully motivate you to come to class. Okay? But if you have to miss, you have to miss. It's not a huge deal. You will lose a slight percentage because I do keep track of your attendance. It's not worth any points. It does not affect your grade. If you come every week, then you have 100% attendance. If you miss a week, then it goes down to about 89%. And it goes down and so on. But again, it has no effect on your grade. It's just a way for me to track how many times you've been absent. When you get down to around 70%, then we have to have a talk. So that means you've missed 3 classes, possibly 4. That's 12 hours of instruction. And now granted, you can watch the videos, but it's not the same as being in class. Can't ask my video any questions. Okay. And the school policy is if you miss 3, then we have to have a little talk. So, if you're in any of your online classes, make sure you log in regularly. If you're taking an online class, you have to be doubly disciplined because there's nobody there to scowl at you when you don't turn in your homework. Okay? If you don't turn in your homework for me, I will scowl at you. Right? I won't, shame you unless it happens a lot. But when I come into class and I have like a 40% turn-in rate, I get kind of fussy, don't I? It's a good word for it, fussy. I put a lot of effort into my classes. You guys paid a fair amount of money to come to Butler Community College. Get your money's worth. I will do my best to make sure that you get your money's worth. Okay, so we can keep going here. Academic integrity. I attended a couple of workshops this summer put on by the math department and the English department, and the tools out there that help you cheat in those 2 topics are unbelievable. I don't know if you guys are familiar with any of these. I will not be telling you which ones they are. I made that mistake in a class, and I see this kid in the back. He's just writing as fast as he possibly can. There's a lot of tools out there that help you cheat. That's one nice thing about this class. Everything we do came from here. Okay. Now, the other end of things, cybersecurity, they use a lot of books. Well, the problem with using a book like that is all the quiz answers are already out there. All you have to do is Google the question. But I will say this, within Canvas, it does tell me how much time you spent in Canvas. And also it knows, like if this is your active window and I click over here and I, look up an answer, if this is not active for 15 seconds, Canvas knows that. So there's no hiding anything if you're cheating. Kind of hard cheating in this class, but if you do cheat, there are repercussions for it. All right, so don't plagiarize stuff. I mean, you're here to learn. If you turn in somebody else's work, what do you learn? You don't learn anything. But like I said, it's kind of hard to cheat unless you've got like little brother at home or little sister at home who's like whiz at this stuff, which some of them are. Okay, I mean, I have high school students who are they are sharp. They are ready to go. That works until you get that job at Blizzard. And then you're like, hey, can my little brother come in? And they're like, no. We want you to do this.
We didn't give him the job.
That's right. We didn't hire him. So please don't. The only thing you're going to do is hurt yourself if you do that. Incomplete policy. We have a policy here at Butler where if you cannot finish the course through extenuating circumstances. Now for me, these extenuating circumstances are 3 things. You are in the hospital. Somebody that you love, immediate family, grandma, even extended family, somebody you love is in the hospital or dying, or you are in jail. Okay? We've had students who overload themselves, unfortunately, and they get to the end and they're like, man, I can't get everything done. Can I get an incomplete? That's not what they're for. Okay? If you're in a car wreck the week of finals, then yeah, you can't finish the course. That's what they're for. All right. The way they work, though, is if you are granted an incomplete, like you would come to me and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to finish because I have to go to another state for a funeral, this, that, and the other thing, we would sign a contract where you would guarantee me that you would get me the work as soon as possible. And if you did not get me the work within the time frame that we agreed, and it's usually about 6 weeks, then that incomplete turns into an F. Right? I've only given a couple of them, and I've only actually had one student get me the work. So oftentimes they just kind of come back and bite you. Do your best, stay on top of things, have a plan. Come to class every day. All right, disability services. If for any reason you need some accommodations, please look this number up, and we will do everything that we can to accommodate you, okay? I've had all kinds of things that we've done in the past, so. Harassment and violence policy, but in regards to this, I'm not allowed to make accommodations unless you've gone through disability services. So you have to talk to them and then they have to tell me. Does that make sense? Okay. Harassment and violence policy. It is a policy of Butler Community College to maintain a learning and working environment that is free from harassment or violence. Butler Community College prohibits any form of harassment or violence based upon against an employee or student based upon race, color, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, national origin, age, disability, and or any other protected federal, state, or local law. Okay. If you feel like that is happening, come talk to me. We'll put a stop to it. If you feel like I am the one doing it, go talk to Daryl Runyon. Okay, he is my immediate boss. He will put a stop to it. I'm a big, firm believer in be polite. Now, don't say anything to somebody else that you would not want said to you. When I was a cook and I was training new cooks, I would always ask them, would you serve that to your mother? If the answer was no, then you're not serving it to our customers. If you wouldn't say it to your mom, don't say it to the person next to you. Be polite. And I know that all of us, some of us, are not the best at picking up on social cues, okay? Listen to what other people are saying to you. If that young person that you're infatuated with says, man, I really just want to be friends, take that to heart. Because no matter how hard you push that person, they're not going to love you, not the way you want them to. Okay? So, and when I say us, I'm talking about all of us. We're computer people. All right? I would much rather sit and model on my computer all day long than have to deal with a client or talk to people I don't know. You know? But you guys are students, so this is different. It's weird. It is. But be nice, be respectful to one another. And if you do feel like you are being harassed, again, come talk to us. On that note, I do need to state that I am what is called a mandated reporter. So that means I work for the state. If you come to me and say something illegal is happening to me, by law, I have to tell the police. Okay? Now, on the other side of that, we do have a licensed therapist on campus. What you tell her is confidential. But if you come to me and express something bad is happening to me and it is illegal, I have to tell the police. Just understand that, okay? And that's not to discourage you from coming and talking to me if you are having a problem. But I had a young lady a couple semesters ago who, I don't know what was happening with her because she wouldn't tell us. Because as soon as we said, well, we have to tell the police, she clammed up and she wouldn't tell us. She's doing better now. She's out there. So, all right, social media policy. You know, we support the use of technology. I expect you to post your work on YouTube. I expect you to share it with your friends on Facebook. I expect you to share it on ArtStation. I expect you to get it out there because that's, yes.
What if you just know how to post up on Facebook but not on YouTube?
I will teach you. I will walk you through that, absolutely, brother. But now, when I say your work, I mean your work. You are not allowed to take pictures in the classroom and post them to your social media. Okay. I'm going to use Jacob for this because most of you all haven't heard this. Okay, so Jacob's new and he's from out of state, and And he kind of keeps his head down in class, doesn't say a whole lot. But one day, where's Avery? Avery's in class. And Avery's got his phone out and he's taking some pictures. He's not really paying attention, right? And he captures a picture of Jacob. That is right, Jacob? Yeah, I think. I gotta look, I gotta cheat. Bring up my cheat sheet here. Because I'd hate, yes, Jacob Roberts. Yeah, it's the hair. Anyway, Avery posts a picture. What Avery doesn't realize, though, is that his cousin's uncle's nephew's roommate, twice removed, who they're friends on Facebook, happens to be in the New York mob. And he sees that picture of Jacob, and he's like, there's Jacob the Weasel. That guy squealed. And so I'm teaching class one day, and there's on the classroom door, and two guys in black suits with white ties make me an offer I can't refuse. So what do? Right? Do I let him take Jacob? No, heck no. Right? So to avoid that whole situation, we don't take pictures in the classroom and post them on our social media. Now, that's kind of a goofy story. But suppose the person next to you just got divorced from a really abusive spouse. Suppose the person next to you maybe doesn't have the best relationship with their parents. And you go and you out that person on accident. You never know who the person is next to you. You never know what they're going through. Respect their privacy. Now, in that vein, I have a couple of things that restrict me. They're called FERPA and HIPAA. That means if I am not speaking directly to a student, I cannot refer to any of you in any way that you could be identified by. I can say, I have this student who did ABC, but I cannot say Jacob Roberts did ABC, okay? It's all about privacy. And your generation, especially the younger ones, anybody under, say, 25, it's getting chipped away every day. You may not think about it, and people think I'm paranoid. They can track you from one end of this building to the next. There are cameras, and they can walk you all the way through the building. Not only that, but if you look at every single stoplight on your way home tonight, there's a camera on them. Okay? We are being watched 24 hours a day, almost. Anything you do online is traceable and trackable. Okay? I searched for handgun classes the other day in Wichita. I go back to Facebook. Guess what the ads are? Handgun classes. Okay? Everything you do is tracked. And I'm
I
not.
thought you didn't use Google.
Huh? You can't escape it. You can't escape it. I didn't have a Facebook for the longest time. I got rid of mine. I was very happy. I liked it, but.
Well, when I had you for stop motion, you said you didn't use Google, you used another one.
I was trying to, but DuckDuckGo sucks. I don't mean to be mean, but it doesn't know what I want like Google knows what I want. When I ask Google something, it knows.
But Google knows everything.
Pretty much DuckDuckGo does not track you as much. Now, like I said, I'm going to try not to go off on too many tangents, but that is one thing that as a society, we're going to have to come to terms with. We're going to have to face this in the very near future. So, non-discrimination, we will do our best to not discriminate against anybody for any of those reasons that I listed before, but for anything else too. Again, be polite, be nice. And again, if you feel like I'm the one that's doing it, you can come talk to me or you can go talk to Daryl. Sometimes we do things that we don't even know we're doing them. So, if you feel like somebody is discriminating against you, or I am, by all means, please talk to us. Let us know. A couple of important people you should know, one of which is Sherry Kennard. Her office is in that student union area, and she is the Title IX coordinator. She is also the director of first year. So she can get you in contact with any type of counseling that we might have on campus for you, or if you just have a problem, Sherry's a good person to talk to. She's very helpful. We're here to try to offer you the best possible experience that we can. And then again, if you have some sort of disability or you need some sort of accommodation, please talk to Teresa Eastman. Again, I can't do much without direct guidance from them, if that makes sense. Instructor policies. If you miss 3 classes, I'm going to shoot you an email, and then we have to talk about your future. Generally, most kids save them up till the end, and I'm kind of lax at the end. So, if you need to drop the class for whatever reason, or you just decide this isn't for you, there's absolutely no shame in that. You can drop yourself online. I would appreciate it if you shot me an email and said, hey, you know, I'm not really digging your class. I don't take it personally. So, no. Phone or device policy. Please do not use your phone or any other electronic device in my classroom unless given permission by me. If you need to make a phone call, it's that important, by all means, please step outside. If my daughter calls, even though she's 23, I'm probably going to go, excuse me, and step out and take that phone call. And the reason I say any other electronic device is because I had a young man who thought it was appropriate to play his Switch in class. And first time I'm like, okay, please put that away. Second time I'm like, are you kidding me? Put that away. And the third time I'm over here and I got really loud. Because this was within 30 minutes of each other. Boom, boom, boom. So that's why it says any electronic device. Again, I only have you for 3 hours. I'm going to talk for a good chunk of that. You need to be listening. You need to pay attention. You need to be watching what I'm doing. We do have some new software called Intel Unite, which will hopefully allow me to push my screen to your screen, because I know sometimes these televisions are hard to see what I'm doing. Okay, so hopefully we'll get the Intel Unite thing figured out pretty quick, and I'll be able to push what I do to your screen so you can watch it right there, and then you can do it. And that's how you learn. Monkey see, monkey do. All right. Please don't make me ask you to leave for the day. All right. Classroom etiquette. Headphones are not to be worn without permission. I know music is a big part of y'all's lives, but again, when you're in the classroom, give me your full attention. I'll give you my full attention. Grooming activities should be completed at home or in the privacy of the restroom. Students should not work for other classes or hobbies. Now, I'm kind of flexible on that one. All right. If you finished up your project for me, absolutely work on Brian's stuff. Absolutely work on Daryl's stuff. Not a problem. Students are expected to show other students and the instructor courteous attention and respect. If somebody is talking and we're having a back and forth, then nobody else is talking. Okay? If I'm up here talking, you guys aren't chatting with each other. All right? Please don't make me treat you like middle schoolers. Okay? Now, I do have a couple kids in my Tuesday morning class, which I told them right off the bat. I'm like, I don't care if you sit together, but if I have to call you down, I'm putting you on opposite ends of the room. Okay? Now, I had a science teacher here who was a middle school science teacher, and she treated us like we were in 8th grade. It was horrible. I hated it. Okay. All right. Students who disrupt learning will be asked to leave. I don't think that'll be a problem, but on the other side of that, I have no problem going down there and getting our officer either. Okay. It's never come to that, but I have had students ball up their fists at me. And it's like, okay, don't you swing at me. That's not going to end badly for everybody. I haven't been in a fist fight since I was like 14. I'd like to keep it that way. I'm almost 50. Okay, classes are not in session. The labs are locked. We do offer open lab times, but even if it's not open lab times and I'm in the building and there's no class, come knock on the door. Hey, can I get into 42? Absolutely. Don't let anybody else in here. That'll be my number one rule. If you're in here working, you don't let anybody else in here. Send them to me. This is not for the math students or the English students. These labs are for you guys and you guys alone. And again, if you're looking for a job, talk to Daryl. It's not too bad getting paid to sit in here and do your homework while you watch the lab. We're going to skip that one. Food and drink. I'm really lax on food and drink. All right. I drink an incredible amount of coffee every day. I got this nice water bottle that says Butler on it. So I would like it to have a lid, preferably not a styrofoam cup or something like that. As far as food goes, you can have candy bars, no McDonald's, nothing that smells, and nothing cheese coated. Okay, so no Frito or Cheetos, no Doritos, no nothing. These rooms get pretty nasty as the semester goes anyway. And the last thing we need is somebody eating the flaming hot Cheetos and getting it all over the mouse or the keyboard and that kind of stuff. Other than that, I'm pretty laid back. Okay. Again, headphones, that's kind of a personal pet peeve of mine. And that is that. All right. Any questions about that? I hope that kind of lays out some of the expectations, and if you have any questions about, like, if you miss the third week or so, look at the syllabus. What did we do that week? Okay, we did 3ds Max segments and modifiers. Go find the module called 3ds Max segments and modifiers. Open that up, see what we did. Please don't email me and ask me what did we do last week, because generally my answer is nothing. We didn't do anything, because it's here. It's here, and it's you guys have to be proactive about your own learning. You have to want this. I have a lot of students. I mean, I have 70 students this semester. The young lady that went and got the Blizzard internship, she did that on her own. She went out and got that. She found that internship. She applied for it. That took guts, because she was her second semester. Okay, so I mean, she just started. But she got to go spend the summer in California. So, all right. We're just going to keep going for a little bit, and then we'll probably take a break in about 30 minutes. Then when we come back, and we may end up being here till almost 7 tonight. Who knows? If you're following along, you can go ahead and click on where it says modules. If not, you can just kind of keep where I'm at. That's fine. First thing I want to talk about is the participation module. Again, this is where you will see the roll call and attendance. Notice how it's worth 0 points. It will still show a percentage. If you miss class or you are late, you will lose a percentage of that. Does not affect your grade. Weekly student presentations. This is how I get you to come to class. Okay, everybody see that? It is available. Okay, because sometimes I forget to publish stuff, and I'll be up here talking about it, and nobody will tell me they can't see it. So if you can't see what I'm talking about, please let me know. But during the first 15 minutes of every class, you will open and display your assignment for that week on your workstation. Once you have opened your assignment and start displaying it, then you can kind of wander around the room and talk to everybody else and look at their assignments for the week. During this time, I will go around and I will make note of whose assignment is open. I will award you up to 10 points every time you do this. These points will accumulate throughout the semester. We will do this 10 times throughout the semester. If you run into class at 10 minutes after 4 and get it open, then that will still count, but you will not get 10 points. You will get 5 points for that week because you were late to class. But if you're here on time and you have it open, bam, easy 10 points. Now the next one is about note checks. I would say not the number one thing I hear from students, but at least in the top 10 is, I remember you did this, but I don't remember how you did it. Well, write stuff down, guys. You're fine. Write stuff down. You don't have to write down everything I say, because then you would write a book and you wouldn't be able to find what you're looking for. But if I say something 2 or 3 times, you need to write that down. If I throw a term at you that you are just completely lost by, if I say select the polygon and you're like, I have no idea what a polygon is, write that in your notes. Polygon, big question mark. During the last hour of class, before you leave, you can come up to me and say, John, here's my notes for this week. I will look them over and go, man, those are great. Those are awesome. If you show me a blank piece of paper, I want to be like, these aren't very good. Okay? I will give you 10 points for that. Now again, these will accumulate for the entire semester. It's worth 200 points. But let's put this in perspective. Both of these things together, this entire module is only worth 10% of your grade. So it's not going to kill you if you miss 1 or 2 or 3 of these. But it will separate the A's from the B's from the C's. Coming to class and doing the minimum is not how you succeed. You go above and beyond. You take notes, you write stuff down. You ask questions. And I don't care how you take your notes, there's lots of different ways to do it. If you've never taken notes and you're like just kind of overwhelmed, come talk to me. We have a thing called Cornell Notes, which is kind of all the rage right now. Really, basically what you just need to do is if I say something 2 or 3 times, write it down. If you don't understand something I say, write that down. I have no idea what you mean by this. Okay? Because you may not always feel comfortable in the middle of my lecture going, I have no idea what you mean by that. But if you write it down in your notes, then I know you didn't get it. And I can go, okay, let's go over this again before you leave. This is a way to help me help you. Plus, if you hear me say it, and you see me do it, and you write it down, and you do it yourself, guess what? You're going to remember it.
Yeah, that's a lot of repetition.
It is a lot of repetition. Repetition is the key to mastery. Time is the key to repetition. Do stuff over and over and over again until it is muscle memory. Oftentimes I'm up here, I'll be working, and kids will be like, what did you just press? And I'm like, I have no idea. I have to look down because my fingers know where to go. Okay? Alt-W. That's maximize window.
Brian said that same thing on Monday.
Yes.
The muscle memory thing. You said the same thing on Monday.
Did I?
Brian did.
Oh, Brian did see. Well, yeah. Brian had good teachers. Brian is a fine teacher, though. He really is. He's not the young kid that I met 8 years ago, 6 years ago. Okay, but you'll be awarded some points for this. Now, repetition is the key, guys. Doing it over and over again. Muscle memory, learning it, writing it down, reading it back to yourself later. Because when I start throwing stuff at you, I'm going to throw a lot of stuff at you. And you're going to go home and you're going to be like, shoot, what was that thing about bridge? What was it? Extrusion? I know he talked about it. I just don't know what it means. If you write it down, you will. If you get home, you can look at it and go, oh yeah. Okay.
You can Google it yourself later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even if you just write down the terms sometimes. Like Gage said, you can Google the term. Right? You don't know what you don't know. Yes?
Shouldn't some of it like be in the Photoshop book that you got?
Oh, no. I am completely removed from them. Okay. And again, that's why we don't really have a book. Now, I have some big old fat 3ds Max books, but they're full of information you all don't need. Okay. Does that make sense? You know, one of the things that really kills me about a lot of especially the Adobe books, they start off with, hey, look what's new. You don't even know what's old yet. Why would I show you the latest, greatest thing? You need to understand the basics. The basics don't change. Part 2 of this class, then we get into the cutting edge. I was so excited 2 semesters ago when we got liquids. I have been waiting for liquids in Max for 3 years.
And you were still undecided about putting it in this class.
Yeah, well, it's because I had to teach myself how to do it.
I see you doing it in your office sometimes when I walk by.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. If you guys see me in there and I got Max running, that's what I'm doing. I'm probably prepping on something that's brand spanking new. I belong to a couple of different websites. I belong to a couple of different message boards, and there's some good stuff out there. 90% of once you get out of school is you got to teach yourself. And that's hopefully one of the things that I teach you in this class, is how to teach yourself. Again, that's where that analytical thinking comes in. That's where I'm not going to go, do this, 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 and this. I'm going to be like, what do you want to do? And then you verbalize what you want to do. Well, I want to make this part stick out, okay? Well, we have a word for that. It's called extrusion. So you're going to what? Oh, I'm going to use the extrude tool. Right. And then you'll remember and you'll learn. Okay? So, all right. And that will be, like I said, the first 15 minutes of class is show and tell, if you want to call it that. That's what I like to call it. And the last hour is when you can show me those notes. Now, if you leave an hour into class, I'm not going to look at your notes. I'm not done talking an hour into class. If you have to leave, you have to leave. Okay? Had a young lady this morning, wasn't sure if she could leave. And it's like, no, well, we won't physically stop you. We will encourage you to stay. But if you got to go, you got to go. You know, life happens. You know, hopefully nothing that happens bad enough that I have to leave. You know. But my daughter's only been driving 3 months. I'm terrified every time she gets behind the wheel. Okay. So let's go back to modules. Now this is where you're going to see most everything. If you're having trouble with Canvas or anything like that, there is the introductory module. I'm not going to go into that except to say there is this lovely Meet Your Instructor. And man, that is the best picture I've ever had taken. And a student took it. One of our photography kids took it. Quite a while ago because I don't have my mustache, which is weird to see myself without my mustache. Get used to the way you look, right? So anyway, if you want to know a little bit more about me, there it is. I've been here a really long time. That's basically what it says. So let's go back to modules. Okay. So, Guido, we went over the participation, so you might later on take a look at that. All right. I do actually have notes for myself. I make an outline for my class. And again, you know, I've been doing this 8 years, been teaching this particular class since 2012. I still do this fresh every semester. Okay? And if I write stuff down, you guys should too. All right, so where are we at? We've done the syllabus. That's good. Got some introductions, participation, and okay. Let's jump into, I'm going to show you Open Broadcaster. Okay, we'll do Max last. Okay, so Open Broadcaster. That is screen recording software that Brian Foster introduced me to. It's super easy to use. It's really easy to configure, and it does a lot of really cool stuff. Like number one, right now I'm feeding my webcam into it. So it's recording that. So when you watch this video later in the week, you'll get to see me. Hopefully I don't pick my nose or anything. I don't generally watch the videos because it's really uncomfortable watching yourself. But this is super easy software to use, and we will go into using it here shortly. You can get it for free from OBS. Just type in OBS, and it's called the OBS project. And it's totally free, really easy to configure, runs on all your Windows or Mac. The nice thing about this especially, again though, is if you have a problem with Macs, something is not doing what you want it to do, verbalizing that in an email is not the easiest thing. Fire up OBS. Take a quick video. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what it's doing. Can you help me? Guess what? I can help you.
Almost like you're there.
Almost. And like I said, for your assignments this semester, I'm going to try my best to just watch them and record myself watching them. So you get to see my reactions to what you do. We'll see how that works out. See if I get some death threats. see if that makes everybody uncomfortable. I don't know yet. But again, it's a way for you to get to know me a little better. And if you know me a little better, maybe you're a little more comfortable asking me questions. Maybe you're a little more comfortable saying, I don't understand. Okay. So OBS is super easy to set up. We will be running it shortly. Next is the Adobe Suite. Let's take a quick look at that. Now, Again, if you don't have it, you're going to need to create an account that will allow you to sign in on our machines. But as a digital creator, you kind of need to have this software. I mean, they have everything now. They have bought 3D modeling softwares. I haven't dived into their 3D modeling stuff yet, but they now offer a 3D modeling program. They offer Substance Designer, which is Brian Foster's favorite program. They own that now. They own Photoshop, Illustrator, Animate, a program called Fuse, which is a character generator. And for the low price of $20 a month, you can have access to all of this software. Sign up as a student. It's $20 a month, and it's money investing in your future. Now, I realize some of you, that might be the difference between eating a couple of days. And if it's that close, make time to come down to our labs. If it means you got to stay home one Friday out of the month, stay home one Friday out of the month. Okay? It's worth it. Having this software is not going to guarantee you a job, but when people hire people in our field, they expect you to know Adobe. They expect you to have some experience with it. It's industry standard, and it's not going anywhere. So, but you can just check out if you wanted to. Where you at? Somebody says sees the word student. Let me know. Man, I've done this.
I thought further up.
I thought so too.
The regular students save over 60%.
Yeah. Where am I going? Oh, there it is. Students. Thank you. Awesome. The youngest person, or I'm sorry, not the youngest person, the first generation Z to make it to number one on the top 100 Billboard. She's 17 years old.
Really?
Yep, she is the first person born in this century.
Well, that's Billie Eilish, right?
Yep. They were on the radio today talking about her. Okay, but discounts for students and teachers. Sign up for it now. It's $20 a month. You set it up on auto pay, and you never think about it again. It's just one of those things that it's cost of living, cost of being a creative person. Gives you access to all kinds of software. Photoshop, Lightroom, Spark, Premiere, Adobe XD, which I have no idea what that is, Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere, and more. So, well worth it. But if you can't, again, we need to create an account for you, and then you'll be able to sign in and use our copies of the software. Okay. All right. And then finally, ArtStation. Most of you have raised your hand when I said you guys have ArtStation. If you don't, what ArtStation is a community of artists. Pretty much everything except photography, which I don't know why they exclude photography, but it's primarily for digital creation. Now the cool thing is, oh look, yay, somebody liked my stuff. And that makes you feel good when other artists go, wow, that's good. But you can create an account here. It doesn't cost anything. They do have a pro account, but you don't need to do the pro account. You can upload lots of pictures and whatnot. The only thing I don't like about it is it doesn't allow you to upload video directly. So you must upload your video to some sort of video hosting source, either Vimeo or YouTube. I use YouTube because that's just old school, I guess. Vimeo's for the young kids.
Brian recommended to do, yeah.
Yeah, YouTube works great for me. The couple times I've used Vimeo, it seemed like there were limits on the size of the video and the number of videos you could put up and things like that. And YouTube's like, hey, give it all to us. We don't care how big they are. 10-hour video of somebody saying the same thing over and over and over again. Sure, we'll take
It's a little creepy, but
it. We don't care. So here is something that I created. I'm not doing this as a flex by any means, but I just want you to see kind of something that you can do with this. Now, this is actually getting kind of old in the tooth. I think it came out, I think I put this out 2016, so it's actually getting kind of old. So I'm not going to teach you how to make the next Marvel movie.
So, are we gonna be delving into audio at all?
Delving into audio in what way?
Like, are we gonna be including in videos?
You can. I would recommend it. I can help you with it. Not really something that we're going to go into like creation of audio. I don't know if you
Yeah, I'm
guys,
not asking about creating audio.
you know, I mean, but I will show you like how to play with your levels and things like that
How to
in
import in
in
audio
Premiere.
and that sort of stuff.
Little bit. I'll tell you, when it comes to audio, this is generally what I do. Do you guys know Kevin MacLeod? And it's MacLeod. He writes so much music, most of which you guys probably know, because it is often included in video games. And if you watch YouTube videos, everybody on YouTube uses Kevin MacLeod. Why? Because he says, hey, here's my music. Do whatever you'd like with it. The only thing I would like you to do
Just credit them.
is include this tiny little piece of credit. And so he's changed his website. It's been a while. That's what happens when I take the summer off. I come back and everything's different. But he has a little disclaimer that has the name of the piece of music, gives himself credit, says used under Creative Commons. And that's all he asks you to do. Can't beat that. Okay? And we're talking every kind of music you can imagine, from pseudo EDM to westerns to video game music to scary stuff to hard rock to you name it. This guy is proficient. And for those of us that aren't musicians, that's handy. All right.
Some of this stuff sounds like it came from a movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's got epic sounding stuff. He's got quiet stuff. You name it. Now you got to sit there and go through it and listen to it. But like I said, really, it's a great way to do it. And he has changed his website up a little bit, so I'm gonna have to go and make sure that everything is still copacetic. Plus, if you need graph paper, it's a great place to get graph paper. So, I really like Kevin McLeod. I've been using his stuff since like 2010, okay? So almost a decade now.
Is that the whole website his or?
Yes, yeah. I always type in his name because I can't ever seem to type in Incomptech correctly. But Kevin McLeod, MacLeod, which is great. So I love his stuff, and it's in all of my crap. Because I think music makes stuff so much more enjoyable to watch. You know, a little bouncy tune over the bouncy ball. It's like, yeah, it kind of goes together. So, all right. So please make an ArtStation, because that's how you will be turning in your assignment. Now, as far as uploading, come by my office, okay? Anybody else, if you're not sure what to do, I will go over that with you. As far as uploading to YouTube, you will need to create a Google account. And as far as getting it on ArtStation, it's really super simple. If you come in and, again, we'll just go to mine, because where else am I gonna go, right? So like this one, I made this over, I think it was last semester, teaching myself how to do liquids.
I saw you working on that.
Yep.
That's cute.
And so all I would have to do would be to copy that URL, go over to my ArtStation, go to my profile, which I took this picture. This was at Yellowstone National Park. It doesn't even look like it's real. It's an amazing place. If you've never been to Yellowstone, take a trip to Yellowstone if you can. It's amazing. But I would come down here and I would say, manage portfolio, create new project. In this case, like I said, the only thing I don't like about this site is it doesn't let you upload video directly. But I understand why they don't want you uploading video directly. Video's huge, right? So you just paste it in there, and I usually try to keep things named the same between different platforms. So I need to come down here and I give it a title, and then they'll ask what is the medium. In our case, it's going to be digital 3D, subject matter, animation. Sometimes you can get it to take different things, but it's kind of limited on what it will take as far as the subject matter. So we'll just say animation, software, so 3ds Max. And then I also always throw in Premiere, because I did my video editing in Premiere. I may not be an expert at it, but man, I can edit your video if you need me to. And then finally down here, you can add your own tag. So I would do something like Max Liquids, because that's what that's showcasing there, is the new Max Liquids. And then you just say save and then publish. And then for your assignment, what you would do is, there was an error. Why? Publish. Please expect, what? Oh, okay, that's fine. I apparently did not do the video correctly. I did that earlier too. Control-V, add video. Okay, we good? Publish. Okay, and then if you want to share it with your friends, you can. I really got to start using Twitter more, I guess. But I'm not very adept at the whole social media thing. But we can go to my profile. Then you would click on the assignment, and then you're going to submit that link to me. Okay? And I guarantee you, the very first assignment that you submit to me, I will follow you back on ArtStation. And you know how things work in the internet, right? The more people are talking about something, the more people are talking about that thing. The more followers you have, the more followers you get. That's one of those weird things. It's like the whole YouTube algorithm. The more views a video has, the higher it is in the rankings. You know, therefore it gets more views. Therefore it moves up the rankings. Therefore it gets more views. So,
Do you know if they still give you like trophies for most views and followers?
no idea. I have never been very adept at the YouTube thing
They
yet.
still give out the subscriber buttons.
What's that?
They still give out the subscriber buttons.
Do they? So, there we go.
The plaques, or whatever they are.
And that'll be super easy.
Quick question about ArtStation.
Yes.
I have an ArtStation account, but I haven't used it in like a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Should I make a new one?
It's up to you. I mean, if you can recover your old one, go for it. If not, I'd make a new one.
Okay.
Yeah. I have like 3 different YouTube accounts, so
Yeah.
different things on different channels, obviously. Okay. Any question about any of those 3 things? The Adobe Suite, OBS. Again, great software, guys. You really should get that installed at home.
I
If you,
have it.
if you can stream, I mean, any of you guys interested in, being the next Twitch sensation? You know, is that still a thing?
That's my 13-year-old brother's aspiration.
Absolutely, yeah, and there are kids that do it. I mean, I find myself, I play this really dumb game called 7 Days to Die. And
Oh, you're still playing that?
see, it's the only game I play. And I watch this guy, this Glock 9 guy, okay, and he does cool things in the game. And my wife's like, why do you watch somebody else play the game? And I'm like, well, he's better at it than I am, number one. Yeah. He's running around headshotting everybody. It's like, okay. But he just does cool things, and I learn stuff from him. It's like, okay, I can do that on my base. I can do this, and so on. Now,
That's always handy to have.
there's so many of them out there that are just screamers, and I don't understand that. But there's 1 or 2 that I like. There's another guy, Super FT, LOL. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him. He plays DayZ, and he is the best DayZ player I've ever seen. I don't know if you guys play DayZ. That was a great game at one point. I loved it when it was a mod. I bought the retail version of it.
That's what everybody says.
Not so into that one, but I like watching FT do it. Because he gets out there, and if he comes up across people, he'll talk to them. But by God, you point your gun at him, he will kill you. End of discussion. Just that fast. But again, it's, and I think a lot of the whole watching people play games comes from being maybe like the little brother or the little sister, and your older brother's playing, and they give you the controller that doesn't work. And so you think you're playing, kind of thing. I don't know. But some people are really good at it, and some people are making so much money at it. I mean, stupid amounts of money. But OBS streams. OBS does overlays for your stream. Again, like I said, I'm currently recording my screen here, as well as my audio and my webcam. And that's great, It's super easy to set up. Doesn't cost anything. That's especially nice, right? I mean, cost is always a concern.
They would
So-
like you to donate, though.
Sure they would. And if I had any money, I would donate. But I
If you
used
don't want a grant from
I used
someone-
WinZip for like 15 years and never once donated. So. Say, that's funny. What are you doing here? You're like, yeah, I know what he's talking about. All right. So I'm going to stop there if we don't have any questions about those 3 pieces of software. If you do, don't hesitate to email me and ask. But by next week, you will definitely want to be able to upload to ArtStation. And this will be great because, again, I will immediately follow you. And that will give you access to everybody else's work in the classroom. And you can follow them and they will follow you. And then that will lead to you're following somebody you haven't actually met, but they're in Brian's class. And so since you followed them, they follow you back. And you find out, well, this kid's a hell of a programmer. I can't program. Man, I can make some graphics. Okay, well, the programmer kid, he can't do graphics. So you guys will feed off each other. You guys will learn to, that's the big part of it. You can't do it all by yourself, as much as you may want to. Okay? You'll end up making E.T. And I don't know if you guys know that story or not. That was the worst game in the history of video games, and I feel bad for the guy that made it. Okay, it was one guy, they gave him 6 weeks. Of course, it was a turd.
36 hours and developed it in 5 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 5 weeks, man. You know, and it was a horrible game. You fell into holes and you stretched your neck to get out of the hole, and then you fell back into the hole.
You figure out what to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's a horrible. It's a horrible game. Million copies of it buried in the desert. So you don't want to be that guy, but you want to make something. You want to make it successful. I got a young lady who was asking me questions today about starting her own business. Well, she's 19 years old. She's driven.
Was that the lady in the wheelchair?
Yes. Yep.
You always take the business courses here.
She could, but you could ask me too, and I can tell you a few things. So, all right. But if you do have questions, don't hesitate to email me. Don't hesitate to get a hold of me through Canvas. Don't hesitate to knock on my door and go, hey, you know, I don't understand what this does. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. I'm going to give you a nickel tour about 3ds Max. I will show you where you go to download that if you have never installed it. And again, if your machine at home doesn't run it, just make the commitment to come down here. That's all you got to do. It's hard sometimes, but success favors the planned, or the prepared, the well prepared. You know, luck favors the well prepared. If you plan on, man, I'm gonna go to Mr. Simpson's 4 to 7, and you know, we don't really have an open lab, but if there's 6 or 7 people here that want to work until 9 o'clock, guess who's hanging out in his office till 9 o'clock? Okay,
You come from 9
I'm here for you.
onwards?
No, I leave at 7. But if there's a half a dozen of you that want to work, I'll stick around for an hour. I'll stick around for 2 hours. You know, that's the type of guy I am. Okay, now, but I'll come back. I'll give you a nickel tour on this. We will look at recording. You will all get a chance to record using OBS. We will feed that into Premiere, and we'll kick it out. Okay, and that should probably take us all of about 45 minutes, maybe another hour. So why don't we take, I don't know, I've been talking for a long time, so let's take a full 15 minutes. Walk around, have a cigarette, do whatever you need to do. I'm going to set a timer. So please be back before it goes off. Actually, I'm going to find a better timer. And just for giggles, I'm going to go ahead and leave this running recording. So 1500. So let's all be back before it goes boom. Oh. I'm kidding. I'm not really going to record that.
Just
Okay. Now the way we set this up, down on the bottom left-hand side, you will see where it says scene. Okay. If you look up at my screen, you'll see that it says scene, and then below that it says John's setup. A scene is basically a holder for the inputs that we want to use. So you can just leave it as scene because these machines will probably remember what you wanted to do, but there's a good chance that they won't as well. So you'll probably have to maybe set this up every single week. Kind of a pain, but it's not that bad. Now, once we've created a scene, or in my case, John's setup, we're going to go to the next window that says sources. This is where we tell OBS what we want to record or what we want to stream. So if you'll click on the little plus sign, you will see one that says display capture. And you're going to get the infinity when you do that. So go ahead and select display capture. Okay, now y'all are lucky, you've only got one screen. If you have multiple screens, if you're really lucky and OBS is being nice, it will recognize the multiple screens. If not, sometimes you have to shut OBS down and restart it several times before it'll recognize your second screen. It's kind of a hassle. Now, if this did not work for anybody, please let me know. It looks good. Everybody looks good. Awesome. Now, if you had a webcam, then you could, again, go to the add and select video input, I believe. Yeah, where you at? Oh, the bomb. I forgot about the bomb. Sorry about that, guys. Clear. Whoops. Man, that scared the crap out of me. Holy shit. Okay. So where's it say here? Oh, video capture device. Okay, so that's your webcam if you have one. You guys don't have one. You could do VLC video source. Do you guys know VLC, video LAN player? What's that? Looks like a little traffic cone. Never found a video that VLC will not play, except for FLVs.
Does anything play FLVs?
Not anymore. Flash. That's about it. If you're a streamer, or you want to be, you can do game capture. There's all kinds of stuff that you can play with. So this is kind of neat. In my particular case, I have a video capture device, which is my webcam. I have the audio input capture, which is the microphone on my webcam, and then I have my display. Pretty straightforward there. Let's go ahead and go to File and Settings. Now, under the settings, there's a lot of different things that we can choose from. I'm going to show you a couple of pretty important ones. Number one, under Output, if you get home and it doesn't want to display your screen, you're going to want to change your encoder. You can do a hardware encoder, which is faster, or you can do software encoding, which is more compatible. Okay, so if it's set to hardware by default, then you might have to change it over to software under the encoder. I think by default, all of these are set to software. Yes?
What's the audio bit rate?
That would be the quality of the audio that it's recording. So the higher that number, the better the quality of the audio. I find that the default 160 sounds pretty decent, really. Okay, but I'm not a big audiophile. I don't have, $700 headphones or anything like that. So I got a cheap old pair of Turtle Beats that I've had for about 10 years now, and man, they work great. But it's basically the higher the number, the higher the quality is going to be. Same as anytime you see bit rate or anything like that, it's talking about quality. The recording path. Now this is where it's going to save your videos to. You can change that if you want, but by default, it just records them to videos underneath your username. Under audio, there's a lot of audio options, which we're not going to change anything because we don't really need to. But under video, let's go back to output, I should say. Okay. Now, since I'm recording, let's stay on output, please. Since I'm recording, I can't change these. But you'll see where it says recording format. If you click on that, you've got some options. Now, mine is set for FLV. You can also do directly to MP4. MP4 is your friend when it comes to video. It is good quality with small size, and that's what you want. You want the best quality you can get in the smallest possible package. Now, the reason I record to FLV, and there's a very specific reason I record to it, because as Gage pointed out, nothing plays in FLV. There's no video player out there that knows what to do with this. But video is finicky. And if I'm recording an MP4 and my machine decides, hey, now's a great time for a reboot, guess what? That MP4 is unplayable. Okay, video MP4s and other formats as well need to be closed out. If they close out in the middle or they close out suddenly, the video is corrupt and you might be able to get it back, you might not. FLV, on the other hand, though, it's fine if it cuts out in the middle. Everything you recorded up to that point is there. But there's a special step that we have to take if we record FLV. You are welcome to record MP4, but just know that if your machine decides to reboot, you have lost everything you've recorded. FLV is going to protect you from that. Now we have to do a special thing if we do FLV. So I'm going to hit cancel, and I want you to go up to File and Remux Recordings. Okay, this is a weird word, but basically when we remux a video, we feed it an FLV and it kicks out an MP4. Bingo, right? Works pretty well. We will do this here in a little bit when we start recording. Okay, and I wanted you to see that. All right, so to start recording, you simply click on the button that says Start Recording.
You can also set a hotkey for it.
You can. I haven't, but right down here, Start Record. Sorry, mine says Stop because I am currently recording. You guys should say Start Recording. Is everybody recording? Okay. Let's go ahead and minimize this because we are pretty much done with that for now. Now, if you look on your desktops, you will see that you have 3ds Max 2019 and 3ds Max 2020. Please double click. Yes.
Why is Steam on these machines?
Probably to do something for Brian Foster's class, more than likely, because he does a lot of the VR stuff, and that has to do with Steam. So, please click on the one that says 3ds Max 2020. Okay. Now this is recording everything you're doing right now. It's going to say you're going to get a little message about do you want to share information. Just go ahead and click OK. Okay. This is not personal information about you. It's just usage information. Helps them build a better product. Now you will be asked, do you want to set up? When I set mine up, I use the classic setup as opposed to the design setup. So that's what I'd ask you to click on as well. When you get home, you can dive into both of them and see which one you like better. It's different tools are easily accessible versus different tools accessible in the other one. Okay. Yes?
When I try to start recording, it says invalid path for connection URL.
Okay.
Classic one.
Oh, for some reason it just didn't like that path. So your videos are going to be saved to your desktop. Okay. No idea why. Anybody else have problems getting it to record? Okay, awesome. Okay, so the next thing you'll see is that welcome screen. Some of you are exited out of it. That's fine. That's going to pop up every time you open Max. I would recommend that you kind of pay attention to what's on there. Some of that stuff's very useful. It's little quick videos, some basic options on, how to rotate and scale and pan and all that good stuff. That's going to pop up every time until you click the little box that says don't show at startup. You can go ahead and exit out of that for now. Okay. Saving your files and understanding where you save your files is very important, especially with Max. We are going to be using some third-party images and stuff later on for textures, and we're going to be outputting a lot of images from Max. So one of the first things that we want to do, and again, unfortunately, I'm on 2019, but it's not that different, is we're going to go up to File, and then go down to where it says Project. Don't click on anything just yet. We'll go to File, Project. Now we have some different options. The easiest one for us to do is we're going to create empty. Okay, so File, Project, Create Empty. Yeah, make sure it's 2020. Awesome. I'll give you a minute. Now you notice when I hover over stuff, that little tooltip pops up. That's going to pop up lots of times. So if you don't know the name of a button, just hover over that button. That tooltip will pop up. It'll tell you what it's called. If you know what it's called, then you can Google what it does. Okay? Now, if we say create default, which I don't want us to do, but this is going to create a folder structure that has a lot of unnecessary folders for us at this point. When you get into bigger projects, then yes, maybe you'll use some of these folders, but for now, we're going to make it as simple as we possibly can. So everybody's almost there. I just, I don't want to leave a pile behind. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a second for that screen to pop up, the welcome to. You don't want to exit out of that real quick. Okay. So file, project, and then create empty. Now for ease of use, I want you to point at the desktop. That way when you're done, you can find it. It's sitting right there on the desktop. So point at the desktop, click new folder, and you can name this anything you want. I'm just going to call mine test 001. And I'm going to hit enter. And then I will say select folder. Now, saving your work is super important. So since we've created a folder structure to hold our work, the next thing we want to do is do a save. Since this is the first time we've saved this file, it doesn't matter if you click on save as or save. They're going to do the same thing. Notice where it opened it to. In my case, it opened test 001. That is the folder that we just created. Now, our source files for Macs are called .max files. And so again, you can name this whatever you like. I want to stick with that test thing. Call it test 001. And hit save. Now, if I go to my desktop, if I minimize and go to my desktop, why are you not there? It's here. I just got to find it. Sorry, I'm up here talking to myself. Okay, perfect. I'll find it here. For some reason, it doesn't show up on the desktop I'm looking at, but it shows up here. Does everybody see their folder that they created? If not, let me know. Okay? No? Okay. But you'll notice that it has been saved inside of our Max file. Okay. Leave it as new folder for right now. Okay. The reason being, the program's open. It's not going to let you change it. So folder, and then go save. So it went to new folder. Go ahead and give that a useful name, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So you'll see that there's two files in there. Number one is test.max. That's our source file. Now the test MXP file is something that Max uses to store pathways to files. So don't delete either one of those. Okay? When you get home and you want to open your Max file, just double click on the Max file itself. You could also take a Max file and drop it directly into Max, and that will open it as well. Okay? When you're all done working for the day, you take this entire folder and you drop it onto your portable media. Does that make sense? We don't save to our portable media while we're working, because I will not purposely come by and flick your flash drive. But if I kneel down next to your desk to help you and I toggle your flash drive, or I accidentally unplug your hard drive, guess what? That file's corrupt. Chances are you're not going to get it back. Had it happen before. Had a student come in really, really upset with me. You corrupted my file. I did no such thing. I told you not to do that. You did what I told you not to do. That's on you. Okay? So we always work from our desktop, and then we copy to our portable media. When we come in, first thing we do is copy it all over to the desktop. Boom, now I'm ready to work. Trust me, it will save you hours of heartache, guys. Okay, back to Max, please. So now we're just going to have, like I said, a nickel tour. This is going to be really fast because I do want to get you out of here a little bit early. Across the very top, we have what are called the drop-down menus. From these drop-down menus, which are organized in a very logical way, we can access every aspect of this program. Everything from rendering to customizing our layout and customizing our units, to different tools for animation, to different views and all kinds of things. Okay, and this is pretty standard among most video or most computer programs. You have that menu bar across the top. Below that, we have our main toolbar. This is where we have tools for moving, selecting and moving an object. That is the crosshairs with the 4 arrows on it. We have select and rotate and select and scale. We will go over these in depth over the next couple of weeks. But for those of you that really want to get into it, it is W for select and move, E for select and rotate, and R for select and scale. Now, when you're working in Max, how many play first-person shooters? Okay, the majority, so you know this. Where does your left hand go? WASD, right. That's where your hand goes. Most of your shortcut keys are going to be clustered on that side of the keyboard. Your other hand is on your mouse. Takes 2 hands. See, a lot of students, do this sometimes. Can't work Max while you're holding your head up. Got to use both hands, guys. And think of it like a game, because it kind of is. It's the biggest box of blocks you've ever owned. And it's the coolest blocks you've ever owned, trust me. Okay, so we have our main toolbar. Again, if I hover over something, it's going to tell me. This is my % snap toggle. This here is my align tool. Anytime we see the teapot, that's going to do with rendering. When we say the word rendering, that's a fancy way of saying drawing. I can render with a pencil, and I can render with this really, really expensive piece of software. It's the same idea. Okay. Down the right-hand side down here, I have trouble with left and right, so you guys will have to bear with me. We have what is called our command panel. Command panel is where we will spend probably 60% of our time. This is where the majority of our tools exist for right now. Now there is a fancy toolbar up here called the ribbon. We're not going to do much with the ribbon to begin with. That's kind of an advanced thing. You guys will get there. But we're going to begin by looking at the tools over here in the command panel. Now these are organized in a very logical way again. Again, if I hover over it, tells me. The little plus sign there is my create panel. It's not too big a jump to go, well, I bet I create things there, right? Below that, we have different objects we can create. We will get into those shortly, some of them. Next to that is my modify panel. The modify panel allows me to change the properties of the objects I have created. We have the hierarchy panel. That's a hard word to say, hierarchy. Do you guys know the word hierarchy? Think chain of command, okay? We will talk a lot about parent-child relationships in regards to our objects that we create. That's a hierarchy. This is a hierarchy in this room, okay? I am the teacher, y'all are the student. Daryl is my boss. Mel Whiteside is the dean of my department. They are above me. I am, slightly above you, slightly. We'll get into some of the stuff we can do there. These last 3, I'm only going to show you the very last one, and it's called utilities. This has some special tools that we like to use occasionally. And again, don't worry about it today. This is the nickel tour. Now, in my center part here, I have what are called my viewports. These are my window into the 3D world. Now, if you have one of these highlighted, notice when I click in them, I get that little yellow box. That yellow box tells me that is the active viewport. If I press Alt-W, I will make that viewport full screen. If I press Alt-W again, I will go back to the quad view. Okay, Alt-W. That's a handy one. Next to that, on the still kind of in the middle, and we'll come back to what all this stuff does, we have what is called the Scene Explorer. As I create objects, such as 3D models that are made up of multiple parts, or lights, or cameras, or helpers, all of these different objects that we can create within Max, they will appear in a list, in a hierarchical list, right here. Your scenes will very quickly become very busy. It's nothing to have a scene that has hundreds of objects in it. Understanding the hierarchical view, it helps a lot. Now, you might see where you have 4 little boxes at as far to the left as you can possibly go. If you click on the arrow above, it gives you different layouts, different default layouts. The arrow, the little 4 boxes are at the very bottom, and then that little arrow. So you can have a 3-up layout if you want, or you could have a totally different type of layout. Now bear in mind, every one of these tabs that I have open, it allows me to quickly switch between different viewports, but it takes up RAM. The more of these you have open, the slower Max is going to run. If you need to, and you have opened some, you can simply right-click it and say delete. Delete tab. I almost never use multiple tabs. I always just do quad view and Alt-W. That gets me what I need. And below that, we have our timeline. This is where we will create our animations. This is where we will time our animations out. Not going to get into animation for several weeks. We've got a lot to learn before we get to that point. Okay, let's go back to our viewports real quick. You will notice that our standard layout, the top left-hand one says top. That means I'm looking at it from the top. I'm looking at my world as if I was above it and I'm looking down on it. The one next to it says front. So I'm looking at it from the front view. I have a left view, and then I have what is called a perspective view. We're going to get into these a lot in the next couple of weeks. But for now, let's make our perspective viewport full screen. Perspective viewport, guys, make sure you did the perspective. Go ahead and Alt-W, make sure that that's the one. Okay, now we have 2 types of views for the most part. One is called orthographic and the other is perspective. Orthographic is like looking at the world as if it were 2-dimensional. Perspective adds perspective to the scene, so things that are farther away are smaller. How many, again, drawing, if you draw in 1, 2, or 3-point perspective, this should be familiar to you, okay? Let's click on the word box. Now, there are multiple ways to create objects within 3ds Max. By far the easiest and quickest is to select the object we want to create. It will become blue, and that tells us it's highlighted and it's active. Now this is a 2-click operation. I'm going to click and drag, actually 3-click. I'm going to click and drag, release, and that's going to give me my length and my width. I'm going to pull upwards, and that's going to give me my height. I'm going to click one more time, and I am done creating that particular object. Now I'm going to right-click to get out of creation mode. Okay, you're all 3D modelers. Congratulations.
$5 didn't show up.
You made it too small, make it again. Make it fairly large. Okay, we have not worked on anything about scale or anything like that, so don't worry about that, we'll get there. Yes, ma'am?
So what was the significance of the third click? Was it just
Uh,
deselect or?
Well, it's going to finish off, so like, I've click and release, okay? That gives me length and width. I come up, I'm not holding anything, I'm not clicking at this point. Clicking is gonna set the height, and then I'm gonna right click to exit out of creation mode. I can also press the Q key to do the same thing, okay? But you find yourself right clicking a lot to do different things, and it will become second nature. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete that box. Now, like I mentioned a minute ago, right here we have select and move, select and rotate, select and scale, and then we have a special one called select and place, which we probably won't even look at today. But let's go ahead and press the W key on our keyboard, and make sure you have your object selected, one of your objects at least, and press the W key. Now you should see our widget on there. Okay. We've got a green arrow, which if we pay attention and we look, is running away from us. If we were looking at it from the front, okay, we have the green arrow, and that is the y-axis. And it runs front to back. Then we have the red, which is the x-axis, and that runs from left to right. Then we have the z-axis, which is blue, and that runs up and down. If you press the E key, the widget's going to change, but the colors are going to stay the same. So now I can rotate my object, either on the x-axis, the y-axis, or the z-axis. If I grab between two of the colors, then I'll rotate on both of those axes. Same with movement, same with scale. So one more time, press R, and that's going to bring up our scale tool. Okay, now if you've deselected your object, just go ahead and click on it again, and that will bring back the widget. When you deselect the object, your widget's going to disappear. Okay, so easy, up and down, move it up and down. In the beginning, I would recommend you focus on one axis at a time, because it can get very confusing. If I grab right here, if everybody can, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm highlighting the little box right in the middle. That's going to move it on all three axes at the same time. And I can move it wherever I want, but I don't know about you guys, but I have friends who don't understand the idea of 3D space. And maybe it's just because I'm older and my friends are older. But I can guarantee you, I have at least two friends who I can give the controls of any first-person shooter, and you guys might want to watch this because this is kind of funny. And the first thing they're going to do is go. They don't understand. They don't. It's like he's shooting you from behind, and they're like, "What do you mean behind? Well, the guy is behind you. You have to turn around." I am turning around. No, you have to look, and you have to. Oh, okay. Did anybody ever do Second Life? Okay, I love Second Life.
I've heard of it.
It's weird. There's some weird people there, but it's fun. I spent a long time learning how to 3D model in Second Life before I ever touched anything professional. One of the things was it helped me really wrap my brain around the whole idea of 3D space. The other was Unreal Tournament 1999. That helped me wrap my brain around 3D space as well. But that's going to be one of your stumbling blocks, is understanding 3D space. Now, this little cube in the window here is a very handy little cube. This is called our view cube. If I click on there, it's going to give me a front view. If I click and drag, it's going to allow me to rotate. So I can look at it from the left now. If I click on the little home icon, it's going to take me back to my default perspective viewport. So if you find yourself lost, and this happens, sometimes you might end up doing this, where you flipped yourself upside down. And that's okay. Just hover over the view cube, click on the home, and it's going to take you back to what is called origin. When we talk about origin, we're talking about these two black lines. Now, something that will help you out a little bit this week while you're hopefully exploring Max. Notice when I move on the x-axis, down below I have these little output windows, X, Y, and Z. That's giving me the coordinates of my widget in X, Y, Z space. If I switch over to the rotate tool, brain fart, the rotate tool, now it's giving me the rotational value of the X, Y, and Z. Okay, so you want to pay attention to those little windows down there. All right. So that's enough for today. I know that's not much, but we still have to look at how you get this software. And then we're going to look at editing your video. So we still got 2 more things to do. So real quick, did you guys forget you were recording? I hope so. Go back and bring OBS up and go ahead and hit stop recording. And we're going to return to OBS here in just a few minutes. But for now, I want to go over the process of how we actually get our excited little hands on Autodesk software. Okay, so you will need to create an Autodesk account. Autodesk.com. Don't worry about creating the account right now, okay? But you will create the account. You will go to Menu, and then you will go to Students and Educators. God, I hope I can remember my Autodesk account number. Probably not. Once you go to Menu, Students and Educators, please don't go to free trials. Go to Students and Educators. But once you do that, on this page, go away, you will see up at the top where it says free software. Click on that. They will give you every piece of software they make for free to learn how to use it. Okay? We have Maya here at the school, but we just don't teach Maya. Now, Maya does the same thing Max does. It just does it slightly different. It's more for feature-length films. It's got very robust animation tools. But we want to click on 3ds Max. And then you'll need to sign in with the account you just created. And I apologize, but off the top of my head, I've been fighting with passwords all day long, and I honestly do not remember my Autodesk password right at the moment. So I don't want to go through the process of resetting it. But you will click where it says choose your version, Autodesk 3ds Max 2020. There's only one operating choice, and that's Windows 64. There is no Max version of this. There is no 32-bit version of this. Language, you can choose whichever language works best for you. Finally, once you've made your decisions, and I actually do have a video up on the assignment page on how to do this. It's older, and I'm downloading 2018, and that one, same process. But see where it says install now? Down at the very bottom, it'll say install now. You have 3 choices with Autodesk. Install now, download now, or browser download. And I will explain those real quick. Install now is going to try to get a connection to their server and install the software from their server. Bad idea. What happens if you lose connection? What happens if you have a really slow connection and it doesn't work, right? Web download, or browser download, excuse me, browser download it's called. That's going to try to download it using your browser. This file is almost 7 gigabytes. If your browser messes up and you don't complete the download, guess what? You get to start over. Nobody wants to do that. The download now is your best option. The reason for that is what it's going to do is it's going to download a pretty small file from Autodesk that is their download manager. It will install itself on your machine. You will click download, and it will go to their server and it will download the 6 or 7 gigabyte size file that you need. If for some reason you get interrupted, that's okay, because the download manager knows how much it is downloaded, and it will just start right back up where it got interrupted at. Okay, so if you have any problems with this, don't hesitate to ask. And again, I do have a video that goes through this entire process. It is not coming up. In one second. Yeah, that's the one I wanted. Awesome. Okay, and it is going to be inside this assignment. Okay, so, and again, here's a video on how to download OBS, a short introduction to Adobe, and some basic video editing. Unfortunately, they're slightly dated. Okay, I think they're about 1.5 years old now. Stuff changes really rapidly. All right. Again, if your machine at home says there's just no way in heck I'm going to run this software, don't worry about it. Just make that commitment to come down and use our labs. Okay? All right. Next, I want to show you, how many have taken Sean Rhodes' class? Ah, good. Some of you at least. Awesome. Awesome. Or you're currently taking it. What I need you to be able to do with Premiere is super simple, okay? The way these assignments are going to work, the future assignments, is you are going to record yourself doing what I ask you to do. So next week, I'm going to go into deep, this is how we create basic objects. And I'm going to task you with, I want you to create a room and 10 different objects that go in that room. So you can create your dorm room or your apothecary or your weapons room or whatever you want. Again, insane amount of freedom in my classes. But you're only going to have blocks to work with. You're not going to be able to model anything. But with a little bit of imagination, I can make a sword out of 2 squares and a cylinder. Okay? I can make a mace out of a cylinder, a ball, and a bunch of cones. All right? Imagination. Does that make sense? And you're going to record yourself doing this. You don't have to record everything. Just the good bits. Just the part where you tried for like 10 times to make it work, and that 11th time it worked. That's what I want to see. I want to see, you know, and I'll show you an example. I'll show you an example today before you leave. So you kind of be rolling in your head. So you will make these objects. We will render out some images of those objects, and you will start your video off with, here is the room that I made. Okay? Does everybody know what a diorama is? Okay? Like a miniature world, right? You're going to make a diorama. You can make it anything you want. Okay? If you know you work at a bar and it's like, man, I really like the bar I work at, so I'm going to remake the bar. Okay, cool. You know, or I really like this classroom right here. I want to make this classroom. Cool. Okay. Make something that inspires you. That's what really matters. But I don't want all of your recordings. I don't want 15-minute videos. I don't want 10-minute videos. Do you guys know the term the elevator speech? That's if you get in the elevator and the CEO of the company you want to work for is standing in that elevator, you have about 90 seconds to sell yourself. Now, I'm going to give you more than 90 seconds. I'm going to give you like 3 minutes. But that's what I want. Now, to show you an example of what I'm talking about, I will show you work from one of my current students who turned it in today. I'm so happy. I need to go to my profile because he turned it in and I saw his ArtStation, so I started following him. And this is what they were tasked with in 3D2. Pretty simple assignment. All you had to do was create something. I prefer it to be a real world object, but this kid is obsessed with Halo. And so he wanted to do something based on Halo. And I'm like, that's fine, absolutely, not a problem. And so here is kind of what I want you to do. So we start off with the finished product. Like, wow, those are cool looking weapons, neat. Got some music in there to add to the excitement. And then we have, very quickly, his is about 3 minutes long. I'll turn that down just a little bit so I'm not shouting quite so loud. Really? You're both gonna play? Apparently not. Okay, there we go. But see, no, didn't we just do that? We created a project folder. So now he's going to show his process. And I'll tell you what, this impresses people. This shows people that not only can you create a finished product, but man, you're proud of your work. You're proud of your abilities. And what you're going to get in return from me, with my little webcam, with me watching your video going, wow, that was really cool. I like the way you did that. Let me stop you here. It'd be a little better if you did it this way next time. Okay? When you come take 3D2 from me, it's always show me what you remember. Zach will be very happy to know that he was famous. But see, we're already halfway through. But if I was somebody who was hiring for a modeler, this would impress me.
Is
This-
this one sped up?
Oh, yes, very much so. God, I hope so. God, I hope so. I mean, on a lot of my tutorials, guys, I am not nearly as fast as I look. I'll tell you that now. I speed my stuff up. Nobody wants to watch you take 30 minutes to build this. I bet this is 2 hours worth of work in 3 minutes. Okay. Now, one of the beautiful things about speeding stuff up like this is it makes it look like you meant to do everything you've done. Okay? There's no mistakes in this. He meant to do all of them. Even if there are mistakes in it. No, this is all Max. No, I will not let you use other modeling software, guys. I fully support you learning Blender, but you really need to learn Max too. That's what we're here to learn.
You said WSU teaches another one, right?
I think WSU does Maya. I think they teach Maya. I've got a couple students currently at WSU, and I do talk to them occasionally. I believe they also use like Mudbox, which is more sculpting. So there you go. That's what you're going to do for me every week. Doing that's going to help you get a job. Doing that's going to set you apart from all the other applicants. There's going to be some kids with really flashy portfolios. Okay, you're going to see stuff on our ArtStation that makes you want to go, no, I just can't do it. God, these guys are too good. These people are too good. I will never compete with these people. And there'll always be people better than you. That's life, you know. Shoot, I look at some of the stuff my students produce, and I'm like, holy crap. I better not let anybody see this. I might be out of a job. I like my job. I love my job. But you guys graduate, and especially when you work really hard, you guys graduate with a skill set that combines the best of what I know with the best of what Mr. Foster knows, with the best of what Brady Haig knows. Like I said, I'll put you guys up against the 5-year kids any day. Those of you that do the work. Now, if you come to class and don't do much, then I can't do much for you. It's really in your court. But does that look doable? Looks pretty easy, right? okay? And like I said, if you have trouble getting any of these tools set up or whatever, just talk to me. Don't wait until the assignment's due. Don't wait till Wednesday at 3:50. I couldn't get it installed. Well, shoot. You know, now you've only got 5 days to do it. Okay, so I hope that excites you. I hope that makes you go, wow, I want to do this. Because, you know, that's why we're here. Okay. If you can get logged on to Adobe Premiere, please do so. If you do not have an Adobe account, it probably won't let you on.
Can we post,
Hang on real quick, before we do that, thank you, Coach. Before we do that, we need to finish our recording. And so back to OBS real quick, because we need to remux our recording. We need to come in and go remux recordings, browse to wherever is your recording is. Now, I have two, luckily, so I'm going to select the first one, say open. It's going to automatically set the target file, and I just hit remux. Now, if I go back up to file, I can say show recordings. Now I have a handy dandy MP4. Because otherwise, you're going to try to load that FLV into Premiere, and it's going to go. I don't know what to do with this.
I'm not in OBS anymore.
Okay? So, and having multiple programs open is confusing in the beginning, but you guys are in a great place, man. You're in where you need to be to learn this stuff. Now, hopefully we can get everybody logged on to Adobe. If not, just follow along and we can do it individually after class or something, okay? I cheated. I came in like 30 minutes before class and opened all my programs. So here I am in Adobe Premiere. But this is super easy, what I want you to do, guys. And again, if you're taking Sean Rhodes' class, he is going to teach you some amazing stuff that you can do with Adobe Premiere. I'm sure he did introductions this week. Man's probably a little too humble to tell you, honestly, he is probably the best person that you could learn videography from in Wichita, Kansas.
No, he says that.
Does he? Okay. He's been doing it for 30 years. You guys probably don't remember Heavy Pork, but that was the video show. It was the local video show, so that was cool. Got to see people we knew on TV talking to rock stars. That was cool. Mark Good on the radio. You guys know Mark? He was involved in that. He makes commercials. He travels all over the world. So Sean is great. Okay. And again, like I said, if you don't have the account, don't sweat it too much. I'm just going to run through this in like 2, maybe 3 minutes. So it's going to be super quick. When you first open it, you're going to need to make a project. So we're going to say new project. You want to look at where it is saving it. By default, it likes to put it into your documents. Again, for ease of use, I say drop it on the desktop. Why did you stop working? Let's try that again. And if it doesn't work, we'll just watch my video. There we go. There we go. That's what we'll do. One more time. Premiere Pro. Let's try this one more time. Compatible. Okay, maybe that's what it is.
You should have one using Butler.
Compatibility issue. Okay, now with Adobe, guys, last year, if you were here last year, you were privy to the whole, everybody gets a copy of the Adobe Suite fiasco. If you weren't, that was a mess. Okay, because our IS department misunderstood what they meant when they said site license. And so they gave every single person at Butler Community College a copy of the Adobe Suite. If we were to do that, it would have cost us over $1 million a semester. Okay? We don't have that kind of money. We're a community college. We don't have that kind of money. What the site license does is it allows you to have an Adobe account and not send them any money. But if you log on to our machines, you can access our software. Does that make sense? It's anti-piracy is what it is. It helps Adobe keep track of who's using their software. So new project. Let's try this again. Browse, desktop. Okay, so I'm just going to create something called test project. Okay, and again, this will be up. There'll be a video, and you can come by after class as well. So I'm going to select that folder. Now you don't want to leave it called untitled, so go ahead and give it a useful name. My project. Why not? Okay. Again, this is by no means meant to be in any way comprehensive. When we first opened Premiere, we got a pretty simple layout. Up here, we're going to have source as well as other objects that we can play with. We're not going to mess with that a whole lot today. Down below here, though, where it says import media to start, this is where we're going to take our video that we just shot. Now, there are several ways to get your video into Premiere. You can right-click and go import, and then browse to find your video, which
Would you right there?
I just right-clicked in the middle down here. Okay, where it says import media to start. Just right-click anywhere in that box, and you can get it that way. Or, and I love this about Adobe, and you're going to want to go to wherever your videos were saved, which is by default this PC videos. But once we remuxed them, they should go ahead and be open, and you can just drag and drop it. Okay, so there's lots of different ways to get your video into Premiere. Finding the video is sometimes a little more difficult than actually getting it into Premiere. Now that we have a video in Premiere, if we take our playhead and we kind of scrub it along the bottom, we can see that it's going to kind of show us a little preview of what we have recorded. It's kind of cool. I'm going to take that source file and I'm going to right click it, and mine, for God's sake, is an hour and 28 minutes long. But I'm going to right click it, and this opens up all kinds of options for us. But we're looking for a new sequence from clip. So if I click on that, that's going to take my clip and create a sequence for it. Now, when we talk about a sequence in Premiere, we're talking about this right here, this timeline now. Okay, and so there's my video. You will notice that you have kind of a yellow line across the top. That means the video is not going to play back in real time. If you want to fix that, which we're not going to do it right now because mine would take a good long time to do it, but you would come up here to sequence and say render in to out. And when you do that, it's going to render the whole video. That yellow line is going to turn green, and it will play back in real time from that point forward. But what I want to show you is just some simple basic options here. Okay, so number one, how do you think you would cut a piece of video if you were doing it old school, where you had videotape? What of these icons makes you think cut?
The razor?
The razor blade, that's correct. Okay, everything is a analogy. Everything is a, that's not the right word.
Metaphor.
Metaphor, thank you. You know why they call it a desktop? Because in the original, the very first computers, people didn't understand what this screen was and what its purpose was. And so they were like, well, that's where you store your stuff. It's your desktop. People understood that, right? So, same thing here. In the old days when they did video, they used a razor blade. They slit the video, bring it back together, tape it together.
Now that must have taken forever.
Yeah. It's like old school animation where you drew every single frame by hand over and over and over again. I am so glad I live in modern age. Yes. Yeah, oh yeah, playing in slow motion. But let's say the first 15 minutes of my video, the first 30 minutes of my video are garbage. I'm just going to take the razor and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to grab the arrow tool, which again, I hover over it, tells me what it is, selection tool, and I'm going to delete it. And now the next bit here, I really like the next, pretty close to an hour. I'm going to go ahead and mute that so we don't listen to me. Hope you all don't mind. I really want to show off the next hour, but I know Mr. Simpson's head's going to explode if I turn in a video that's an hour long. Trust me, my head will explode. So what I can do is I can cut that. I can go back to my selection tool. If I right click, man, the right click's everywhere, isn't it? You right click all the time, guys. That's how you get to these menus. But there's one called speed duration. And so currently, at 100% speed, this clip takes 59 minutes to play. Well, I bet if I make it 5,000 times faster, it doesn't take nearly that long. Okay, so 5,000 was a bit much. So let's go back to speed duration. Well, it plays in.
A minute, 6 seconds.
No, that's actually 1 second, 1 second, 6 frames.
Oh.
So we're going to make it a little slower. Let's say 1,000 times faster. Now that hour plays back in 6 minutes. That's okay. Trust me.
Wait, you
Moving.
that same
You
spot
said
was
6
seconds.
seconds.
No, the last two. Okay, so 5. You're right. Okay, so it would play back in 6 seconds. Why are you saying 20 minutes? That ain't right. 100. Okay, 1 hour. There we go. Yeah, okay. You are right. God, it's been a long day. 500 times faster. Now, that'll work. 12 seconds. Hit OK. Go, Johnny, go. Put some Chuck Berry on that, and that would be amazing. Okay. So now I can see what I did. Now, that's a bit fast. That's hyperbole, okay? You don't want to go that fast, obviously. But you want to show me the good bits in about 3 minutes. Again, I have like 70 students this semester. Once we start rolling, that's 70 assignments a week I have to look at. Now, unlike some of your other instructors, and I'm not talking out of turn, I'm not talking smack on anybody, but I pride myself on getting your stuff graded and back to you. How do you learn if you don't know how you did? There are instructors here, not necessarily in my department. There are some who you don't know what you made in the class until final grades come out, because they never graded anything. And that's nonsense. That does you guys a disservice. How do you get better? How do you learn from your mistakes if I don't get you feedback in a hurry? Now, the best way for me to get you feedback in a hurry is for you to, number one, show me the final product of what you made. Look, here's this really cool weapon I made. Here's 2.5 minutes of how I made it. Well, that's kick ass. And I'll watch your video 2 or 3 or 4 times, guys. It's not like I'm going to watch it once and call it good. I will watch it a couple of times before I do my reaction video to it. Okay? But always remember, start your video with your final product, end your video with your final product. That's the 2 things that matter most. It's the first thing I see, so I'm excited. Wow, that's cool. I want to see what he made. It's the last thing I see. Yeah, remember it. Okay? So when we're all done with our video, you're going to want to put some basic titles on it. Now again, probably next week I will go cover this again, and probably the week after, until everybody is comfortable with the process. But to do a title, simply grab the text tool, click anywhere, and here, I think I typed her. Here is my title. I'm going to go back to my selection tool. I'm I'm going to select this, and if I come over here to editing, learning, that'll work. Me or you? Effects, that's what I wanted, right? Yes, awesome. That's going to open up this window here where I can do things like change the color of my text from white on white, which is not helpful at all, to, let's click there, scroll down, let's go ahead and make that text black. So here's Mighty title. Okay. I can also do things like change the alignment of my text. I can increase the size of my text. And the cool thing about Premiere, all of this stuff can be animated as well. And that's something that Sean will teach you. It might be something that if there's enough demand for it in class, I'll go over how to do it. Okay. Now, I had a particular student, he graduated, he's down in Texas working for a television station right now. Very proud of this young man. He was a high school student. This kid is a filmmaker. He loves movies to death. I mean, everything is movie this, movie that, movie that. What he would do with his titles, and it just blew me away, is he would, one day or 1 week, I'd get Forrest Gump titles. The next week it would be the Avengers titles. It would look like a Marvel movie. And he would he would look and see, I like this. And he would try his best to emulate that. So again, the amazing, insane amount of freedom I give you can be a little paralyzing sometimes. But just think about what you like. Copy those who do the things that you enjoy. Okay? That'll make you a better artist. And once you learn how to do the Marvel titles, or you learn how to do, the horror movie titles where it's all shimmery, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. And I'll tell you, YouTube, type in what you want to learn. Ask Google, how do I, whatever it is you want to know. Okay? In the beginning, static titles are great. I do a lot of static titles because I'm often in a hurry and I'm like, I got to get this done. But if you have the time, explore. Make something cool. Make something memorable. Make something that impresses your family. Make something that impresses you. But most of all, make something that impresses your instructors. Be memorable. Stand out. Okay? Once you're all done with your titles and all of that good stuff, you come out here to File, Export, Media. And this is one thing that I don't give you any freedom on. And hopefully I can get it to come back up. So exports, media. Oh, very important. I know what it's doing. Need to make sure you have your sequence highlighted. Okay, so you see that blue box? That's the active window. Got to make sure this is highlighted before you go File, Export, Media. Otherwise this won't come up. How frustrating is that? I think I beat my head on the table for a good 10 minutes over that one. At least once. Now this is one thing, like I said, I don't give you any leeway on, is the file format. AVI is a wonderful format. It's crystal clear a lot of times, but it's also ginormous. Okay, AVIs are big. We like H.264. Write that one down if you're writing down stuff, guys. H.264. Everything else you can just leave alone. And all you have to do is at the very end, and my resolution is off for some reason. I don't know why. There we go. I come down here and I hit export. I'm not going to do that at this point because I don't want to export 90 minutes. I still have work to do on this video. But if you guys want to, that's fine. Your videos will export pretty quickly. And then you would upload that to YouTube. You would copy that link. You would put it into your ArtStation. You would send me that link for your ArtStation. And I guarantee you, you're going to walk out of here with a skill set that's second to none. Okay? Like I said, you guys get the best of what I have to offer, the best of what Brian Foster has to offer, and Brian is sharp. And you have the best of Sean Rhodes, Brady Haig, Holly Silva, she teaches our digital painting class. Casey Meineke, you guys know Casey, right? How great is she? She's awesome. I mean, absolutely phenomenal photographer. And teaches you guys amazing stuff, man. You need to come get your pictures, though, by the way. If you have pictures in that room, you need to come get them. There's a stack of them like this tall. But Casey's fantastic, man. We are so lucky to have her. You guys are so lucky to have Casey. She's passionate. She's smart. She's an incredible photographer. So, anyway, I think that's the end of my sales pitch for tonight. So, this week, the only thing I really need you to do, let's look at the assignment real quick before I shoot off my mouth and find out that I'm wrong. So we are looking at the number 1 assignment here. Welcome to 3D1. Okay. These are the things that I hope that you got out of today's lecture and you'll be able to do. So weekly projects, I try to write this out as clearly and as concisely as possible. Sometimes they do get a bit wordy. But weekly projects will consist of you recording your screen as you complete the required tasks. You will edit this recording to create a highlight reel for the week. Highlight reel will be uploaded to ArtStation, and the link to your video will be submitted before the due date. Now, the way that works too, I'm not sure if I said this or not. I know I've said it a lot of times over the last 3 days. Our class is Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Your assignment is due Tuesday at midnight. That gives me time to look at them before class. The other thing, that assignment will stay open for 1 week after that date, and then it will close, and I will not open them for you. This is for you, believe me, this is for you, yes.
How long do you want the highlight reels to be?
1 to 3 minutes. 1 to 3 minutes. This one can be really short, because all I
Just installing stuff.
just installing stuff, right. So hopefully what you got out of today is you can download and install Max. You are hopefully becoming familiar with OBS. You can download and install that, or similar software. If you have something else, that's fine. If you have, some other screen recorder. I used to really like GeForce recorder. It was great because it was always recording, and I could get the exciting stuff that happened in my game. Student will be able to download and install Adobe Premiere. Again, I know I covered that kind of fast. Feel free to come by my office, please. Now, all of this software is always available in our labs, so don't sweat it. If you don't have a good machine, trust me, come down and talk to us. We'll get you in here. We'll get you working, okay? And that even means if I got to come down on a Friday sometimes, I'll come down on a Friday for you because I love you guys. I really do. This is why I teach. A student will be able to record their screen using OBS. The student will be able to edit their video a little bit using Adobe Premiere. The student will be able to upload to ArtStation. So what I want you to do is do your absolute best to download and install Max, OBS, and Adobe Premiere. For this video, all I need to see is those 2 programs, Adobe Premiere and Autodesk 3ds Max, running on your machine. Again, if you have to come down here and record it in here, then that's fine. I just want to know that you have access to it. As far as your titles go, I'm not going to give you a hard time about that. Some things that you might include would be your name, please, your name, the assignment name, that way I know what I'm looking at, okay? The school name, the course name, and my name, because I'm kind of narcissistic like that. I want people to know that I'm the instructor. And the date. Okay, now the reason for the date is so people know when you did it. So you remember when you did it. You guys ever find stuff you made on your hard drive that you forget you didn't remember making?
Or it has a date and you still don't remember what's doing it?
I've found animations before. I'm like, I have no recollection of doing this at all. Okay, so.
And this is what you want the title, right?
Yes, and it's listed right here. Their name, assignment name, school name, and that'll be on most assignments. It'll say that. It'll tell you that. Again, there are supplemental videos, so these are a little dated, but this is how to download and install 3ds Max step by step. This is how to download and install OBS step by step. A short introduction to Adobe CC, explain what it is. Basic video editing, what I just kind of went through, but not quite as crappy. Okay? Hopefully by tomorrow morning, this lecture will be available to you at the top of this assignment. So in case for whatever reason you just didn't get enough of, me, you can go back and watch it again. Like Gage's team, who made a stop motion animation based on me.
I didn't have much of a choice on that one.
I
I was gone the day they decided what to do.
that really could have been something good. It really could have been. I was disappointed in the background, but that's okay. Nobody else gets to do that. Okay, questions, comments, concerns? Anything you would like to throw at me? Preferably not erasers or bottles. I had an English teacher who used to throw stuff at us at college. He would say things like, hey, do you think of that yourself or do you get it off a bumper sticker? He was great. He was great. I saw him at a high school thing. He's a high school English teacher, and he was there with his kids, and we were doing recruiting, and I hadn't seen him in like almost 10 years, and I was like, holy crap, Briggs, and I gave him a big hug, and I'm like, I'm sorry, that was probably weird, huh? And he's like, no, it's okay. I'm like, man, I really liked your class, because you didn't take no shit off none of us. So that was cool. All right, if you don't have any questions, make sure that you log out of anything that you logged into. Yes?
I couldn't remember, so if I do it here and come and do the work there, would I need like a flash drive or
You will need some sort of media, yes, absolutely. Our files get really big really fast. So you don't want to rely on uploading it to OneDrive. That can get pretty hairy.
What was the size you recommended?
I have a gigabyte Toshiba that I gave $50 for, and that was 3-4 years ago. So I have it's a gig.
I have a 16 gig one.
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
hoping I can use it for all 3 of my
Perfect.
classes.
Perfect. No, I'm sorry, not a gig, terabyte.
Oh, yeah, you can definitely
terabyte.
use a terabyte for basically anything.
Yeah. Well, I have 2 terabytes on my home computer that are completely full.
I have
And I still can't find anything. But get the biggest media you can. Flash drives are fine. I've got a 32 gig little flash drive, works great. Don't get anything smaller than 16 would be my recommendation. So, but yeah, if you want to come here and work, like I said, you just let us know and we'll set you up. All right, I am going to stop recording. I'm going to call this one good, put it in the can.